Hey, won't be a moment. Good morning or hello. Okay, just live streaming this into my group today. Here we go. Wonderful. Yes. All right. Hello. Fantastic. My name is Megan Taslam and I'm here for episode 2 of the Thyroid Diaries to bring you the 5 steps to crafting your dietary blueprint. Now, if you're jumping on with me live today, please say hello. If you're coming in later on during the day, just give me a hashtag replay so that I can interact with you as best I can when I see you on here. So first of all, I just want to do a little introduction of myself because we've had a few new people into the group and I'd really love to introduce myself. So my name is Megan Taslaman. I'm a naturopath. I've been in the wellness industry for well and truly over 20 years. I began as an aromatherapist. I did a lot of massage therapy, remedial sports, and aromatherapy from a bodywork perspective. I also was a reflexologist, and then I embarked on my Bachelor of Health Science degree for naturopathy. And that took me several years to complete because I was working along that side as well. And I opened my holistic health practice in Sydney and had that for 7 years. And recently I have branched into the online world where I conduct the 100% of my business, which is naturopathy. I'm no longer massaging because I did that for well and truly probably about 16 years all up. So hence, this is why I'm here every week. I bring a live to this group to help inspire, to help educate, and to help really you guys get the very best for your health, for your next step, for your health and wellness journey. Because at the end of the day, it is a journey. So if you're here today, just give me a wave, give me a thumbs up, let me know that you're here, and let's get going. So today is all about 5 steps to crafting your dietary blueprint. So I'm very, very passionate about diet. I'm very passionate about dietary and lifestyle and all those fundamental aspects that we have free at our fingertips. Yeah, it's abundant. It's just about knowing how to tap into it and crafting what will work for you. That's the important thing. So as a coach and facilitator in the naturopathic world, that's what I do. I help support and guide you so that you can craft your own blueprint. Because what I do for me may not necessarily work for you. Now, the fundamental principles possibly will, depending on what your diagnosis is, if you've got a diagnosis or whatever your health goals are. So absolutely fundamental principles, but at the end of the day, it's got to work for you, right? 100%. So just getting into the diet. So I'll just tell you a little bit about why I'm incredibly passionate about why it's so important to choose the right foods for your body. Because if you're not tapping in, if you're not actually, using your own intuition, which is our greatest gift, by the way. And if you're just seeking advice, including my advice, like everyone's like, okay, I'm just talking about governmental advice at the moment. You know, like, for example, the food pyramid, which has been created decades ago, is so incredibly out of date. It has on the bottom of the pyramid, the most food items that you should be eating is carbohydrates. It's got a lot of bread in there and those types of, in my opinion, refined carbohydrates as well. You know, whole grains. Now, if you're like me and you ate a lot of those types of foods growing up as a kid, and then potentially you got a chronic disease issue such as Hashimoto's, like me, well, you would have, unbeknownst to yourself and your family and your beloved parents, you would have been doing yourself a complete disservice during that whole time. And when I reflect back, I remember, like, if you grew up in Australia in the 70s, you probably had a sandwich for lunch. It's possibly now these days as well, I'm not sure, but certainly in the 70s and the 80s, it was sangers for lunch, right? And, you know, my mum was very good at putting in the veggies. So she put in some grated cheese and carrot and cucumber and all those types of things, you know. But the bread itself every day was inflaming my digestive system. It was inflaming the mucous membrane. Now, whether or not that was a genetic, stemming from genetics or other types of factors, who knows? You know, we all have our own genetic blueprint, right? But I remember getting on the bus on the way to school and falling asleep. I was incredibly tired. Now, not so much when I was a kid, but certainly in my teenage years, I was dragging my feet. And I remember thinking, look at all these other kids. I remember just one day, I was so tired and I just thought, just have a little nap on the way to school. I think I was about maybe 14 or 15. And I remember thinking, look at all these kids like bouncing there, they've got energy, and I just didn't have that energy. And like, I could bring on the energy because, you know, at the end of the day, I was a child, so I didn't have all the toxic mess, right? You know, we accrue stuff as we go along, all right? So, you know, I could still pull out the energy. I still, you know, participated in school sports, and I was, you know, really keen netballer and all the things that you do as a kid and all of that. But I just had this fatigue that sometimes it would just hit me for six. And also I had chronic digestive issues. So I didn't realise that not doing a poo for a couple of days was not actually a good thing, right? Or you know, as an individual, you could swing the other side and you could have other digestive issues. But at the end of the day, for me, what I thought was normal, because I didn't know. I mean, who am I to know? Doctor never spoke to me about anything like that. My parents didn't ask me anything about what was going on with my digestive system. As a naturopath, I have a very keen interest in finding out what's going on with people's digestive system, because that's how we find out, right? That's how we find out what's going on with your digestive system. What's the motility like? How great are your digestive enzymes doing? How well is your liver functioning? How well is your gallbladder and pancreas functioning? Your bowel motions? What potentially is your microbiome like? Could you possibly have intestinal permeability, which I probably had? Yeah? And then if you do have that, how do we diagnose it? And then what foods should we be putting in our body to, you know, stop exacerbating the issue and to turn that health picture around? So if you've got a diagnosis of Hashimoto's or hypothyroidism or many other issues such as insulin resistance, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, obesity, depression, anxiety, other autoimmune issues, especially with the female reproductive system, right? endometriosis, any of those types of issues, and the list goes on, they stem from the gut health, digestive system. It's so crucially important. So fair enough, you could have this supplement regime. It could be well and truly elaborate, or you could have this or that, or you've done a blood test and your zinc's low, or your iron's low, or this is low. I mean, how many things are low? What are you going to do? Are you going to just take supplements? Because supplements are there to supplement, not to replace. It's called supplement, not replacement. So the way I look at supplements is they are there to create a bridge from where you are to where you want to be for a finite period of time, unless it is something that has gone on for a significant amount of time that you may need because we just can't get it in our diet and we really need some repair work to be done, okay? So that's where that regime may go on for longer. But they're not supposed to be lifelong, and they're not supposed to replace our diet. So ideally, what we need to do is we need to unravel what's going on for you as an individual, and then back up to the causes. Now, I'm specifically going to be talking about diet today, but there are many triggers to a disease such as Hashimoto's. Okay, stress is an incredibly huge trigger. Diet, also environmental toxins, also viruses such as Epstein-Barr virus and cytomegalovirus and some other viruses as well. So there's quite a lot, of etiologies, but at the end of the day, it's about pinpointing what the causes were. Because if you're just going to be putting in some supplements or continuing the dietary regime that may just be a habit, you may not actually know whether it's causing you a disservice or not. You might just be doing it because it's the way you've always eaten. It's the way your parents ate. It is the patterning, yeah? But what if it's actually doing you such a disservice that your gut issue, and it may not be obvious, like you might have some bloatedness, that's a sign. You might have some fatigue, another sign. You might have some really unimpressive bowel motions. That is definitely a sign. You could have indigestion. You could have dry skin. You could have spots on your nails or flaky nails, the ones that split apart, or dryness around the side of your nails. Yeah. You could have cracked lips, dull skin, dull eyes, hair fall. That's another sign stemming from your gut. Okay. So we're not not what we eat, we are what we eat and absorb. And that's not just the bad stuff, it's the good stuff too. So if we have intestinal permeability, otherwise known as leaky gut, you may know it as leaky gut, then your absorptive capacities are not fantastic. They're not where they need to be. So we need to heal and seal the gut. Absolutely step number one. We need to do that. And that could take quite a period of time, and then some maintenance to support that whole network. Because if it's gotten to where it is today over the last 5, 7, 10 years to trigger a diagnosis such as Hashimoto's or any other chronic health condition, whether it be autoimmune or not, well, then we need to actually make an allowance for that time to heal the issue. Now, it's not going to take decades, but we need to respect where we're at and respect those dietary and lifestyle influences and allow time for change, allow time for healing. Okay, because you know what? I mean, there's no quick fixes here, and it's a journey. This is what I love about it. What you do today, you may not notice any impact tomorrow or next week, or you may not in the next month. Generally, you would feel some, positive aspects after 2 or 3 weeks, right? But imagine how you will feel on this trajectory in 6 months' time, in 9 months' time, in 12 months' time. And then let's go 10 years from now. Yeah, I'm in my 50s. I've just started. I'm in my 50s, just started. What, 51? And I have high hopes to live a very healthy, active life, well and truly into my 80s. Yeah, so what I do now is going to impact how the quality of my life in decades' time. So it's not just going to help me for the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, 3 years. I'm talking about your blueprint, what you figure out with some guidance and support and tailoring in aspects that are backed by science, tailoring in other aspects that are backed by your gut instinct. Why is it called gut instinct? It's our seat of our intuition. Yeah? So if we factor all of that in and create your blueprint, how good is that? That's phenomenal. And then we take that model for other areas of your life, for your exercise, for your sleep management, for your stress management, for your fun, for your love, for your laughter. Yeah, so that you kind of know what works for you. Like you just intuit, it becomes a part of you. It's just instinct. And you know that if you just, if you break outside of those parameters or outside of that blueprint, you know that it's really not going to touch the sides, because 80% or let's say 80, 90% of the time, you're on your blueprint and that's what works for you. And that's why you're happy. That's why you're vibrant. That's why you're energetic. That's why you're having awesome sleep. That's why you've got great relationships. Yeah. So, yeah. So where am I going to go now? Okay. So I've talked a lot about the reasons why. So let's go to, so tell me if this is making sense. If you've jumped on, give me a 1 if this is making sense to you. Give me a 1 if you feel that you, okay, give me a 1 if you feel that you would really like to get a dietary blueprint that actually works for you. Yeah. So when I say it works for you, it works for your body, for your organs, for your well-being, for your energy, for your mind. It also ameliorates any other negative signs and symptoms that have been impacting you, right? But it actually is, it becomes like a, it's just like, you don't need to follow any rules. If you know me well, you will know that I'm not for counting calories. I'm not for counting the grams and the measurements and all of that. Oh my God, how structured and boring, right? Who wants to live their life like that? It should be ebb and flow and joy and living an abundant life. And you just kind of know, you just got that instinct, Yeah. So the breakfast, for example, the breakfast that I have for myself typically these days is very different to the breakfast that I had when I was a kid, right? And even in my 20s, in my 30s, because it's a journey. So I've crafted my own blueprint. And so that is why it's my passion and purpose to save those decades for you, so that you can do it in like a relatively short period of time and then start savoring the benefits, right? Willie, hi. Glad you're here, Willie. Yeah, 1, absolutely. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's just perfect. It's a perfect answer. Okay, so let's 5 steps to crafting your dietary blueprint. So you may have already picked up a few of them through what I've been talking about. Hi, how are you? So first of all, we need to investigate. Now, this is a combination of my guidance and support, but you may already know, so start looking within. If you need to write it down, write it down. Yeah, if you need to just record a little voice message for yourself as a reminder, do that. But we need to investigate what's working for you and what isn't working for you. Now, when I say what's not working for you, I'm not just talking about the extreme negative effects. If you're just feeling really subpar, yeah, because we don't want that. We want optimal. We want wellness, vitality. So after you've eaten a meal, if you have to go and have a nap, well, there's two things. Either the meal, well, there's definitely the meal has impacted that, right? But also we may need to look at your body systems. Like why is it that you need to go and have that nap? You know, there could be some adrenal fatigue, or there could be some blood sugar dysregulation. You know, so as a naturopath, before I decided to specialize in thyroid, I was a general naturopath. So I worked with all types of people with all types of conditions for several years. So when I look at thyroid, I don't just look at thyroid. Like, for instance, Hashimoto's, that stems from an autoimmune issue, which happens to affect the thyroid gland. But it doesn't just come from the thyroid, right? It actually comes from the gut. It's actually where we need to look at. That's where the light's shining. So let's start listening to our body. We've got a series of feedback loops. So we need to know, how vital is that? How much vitality do we get from that food? How much energy are we getting from that food? Is it serving us? Is it truly serving us? Are there any signs and symptoms such as bloating or poor bowel movements, constipation, diarrhea, or just unimpressive, right? Have a look. You know, sometimes I'm talking to people and I'm asking them these intimate questions about their bowel movements and bowel motions, and some people say, oh, I don't know, I'd never look. Have a look. Have a look what's coming out of your body, yeah? Because that gives a clear sign at how well your digestive system is working. So you can go and do all the tests under the sun. You can spend an absolute fortune, but you can probably also figure it out with some support and guidance to save your hip pocket there, because, you know, I mean, sometimes testing is important. Like, for example, I'll give you an example. With our immune system, if we're reacting to certain foods, especially if it's a delayed reaction, it can be very difficult to pinpoint, you know, very, very difficult. So, for example, a client recently, you know, she realized that dairy wasn't working for her, so she swapped over to almond milk. Little did she know that she has a delayed food intolerance to almond milk. So it wasn't until there was some IgG, IgE, IgA testing done, which is food intolerance testing. It's a typical panel that I use. And it wasn't until that was done that was actually pinpointed. It's like, okay, so let's change to a more hypoallergenic milk, which is like cashew, for example, yeah, or maybe an omega-3, a milk that's higher in omega-3, which is great for intestinal membrane, which is a hemp milk. Yes, soy, definitely big no-no for thyroid. We don't want to go soy there. And I can tell you the reasons why in another training. So that's just an example. So in investigation, we need to investigate and isolate. We need to pinpoint what foods are not doing us a disservice, right? Step 2 is we need to eliminate them, replace them. We need to swap them out. So we don't want to just eliminate everything. And to be honest, I did that a long time ago, decades ago, and then I just didn't know what to eat. Yeah. But we want to swap them out with foods that fortify us, foods that improve our symptoms, foods that heal our intestinal membrane. Okay, because what happens is when the membrane is when we have intestinal permeability. So let's say this is your membrane, right? This is your digestive system. So it's very integral. And what happens is once the food particles are broken down into their minuscule molecules, they are absorbed across that membrane into the bloodstream. and that's when they kind of go to the liver and they get compartmentalized and, you know, help us live, breathe, have energy, sleep, awesome moods, all of that, right? But if your intestinal membrane is kind of like this and it's got little gaps, little gap junctions, right? It's not integral. So that what happens then is larger food molecules slip through and the body kind of goes, what's this? Oh, we need to get rid of that. So it elicits an immune response. So we have an immune response to food particles because they're not the way they should be. All right. And that's when that over time can trigger an autoimmune issue, and then that impacts the thyroid. And I can explain that. That's a whole nother live, right? So this is why it's so incredibly important to have that really tight integral gut membrane, and things that make it go into those little gappy junctions are food particles that we're not supposed to be eating that aren't good for us, right? Or for you, yeah. And there are some broad strokes along that, but there are also some finer strokes. So it's about pinpointing that. It's really, really important. Also stress, anxiety, that actually causes the gap junctions to open up. And yes, which is hence why we have the brain gut link via the vagus nerve. Yeah. So one of the things that I do with my clients is we like to improve the tonality of the vagus nerve to get out of that sympathetic state, which is that fight, flight, full on adrenaline rush, gotta go, rush syndrome, all of that. We want to shift out of that into our parasympathetic nervous system. So look, if you stay to the end, I'm going to give you a tip. I've just got to remember parasympathetic. This is a really easy tip, right? So we're going to do that at the end. I'm going to do like a 1-minute exercise for you to bring you out of stress into parasympathetic. Yeah, and there are many, many different ways that we do this, but this is one quick one. All right, so that's number 2. We need to eliminate, replace, swap out. Step number 3, we need to coordinate it in with our life. So it needs, the food that we choose to eat needs to serve us for what we're doing, for our work, for our exercise, for our sleep. And also the food that we choose that's on the same plate together, or at least over a 24-hour period of time, they need to coordinate with each other. So in terms of just having a reasonable, like an abundant amount of colourful foods on the plate, because colour signifies, is a signal to nutrient dense. Yeah, so if you can get a colourful rainbow on your plate, that means that you're getting lots of vitamins and minerals. And there are certain vitamins and minerals that we want to place more emphasis on depending on your health picture, what's going on for you. Yeah. So for example, if you're low in zinc, and zinc, by the way, is very important for the hydrochloric acid that helps to break down all the food. Yeah. Our digestive enzymes, also for our mucous membrane. It's also very important for our neurotransmitters. So great for our brain and to help with anxiety, depression, all of that. Also really good for our hormone balance. So it has so many things in the body, like it's so many jobs for zinc, right? But if you are low in zinc, I'd be really focusing on bringing in some foods that are very rich in zinc, yeah, to add in. So that's what I mean by coordinate. We need to coordinate it in. So you've got the basics, and then based on your own individual health picture, we coordinate, we bring in some lovely food fundamentals that are important for you, for your blueprint. Yeah. So if you're the type of person that always drops iron, you know, that's important. We need to always thread through iron-rich foods. For immune system health, we need to thread through vitamin C, which obviously is degraded with heat and storage, cooking, all of that. So we need to thread that through. We also need to thread through vitamin A, vitamin E. So all of these things. For hypothyroidism, so not necessarily talk about Hashimoto's, but hypothyroidism, we need to make sure we get some dietary iodine. and tyrosine, which is the backbone to the thyroid hormonal health. Very, very important. We also need to make sure we've got all of our great fats, our omegas, avocado, which is our omega-6, fish, obviously, ideally wild-caught fish, not farmed, especially, guys, if anyone's in Australia here, do not touch tassel fish, the salmon farms down in Tasmania. Oh, they're no good. They feed the fish grain. Yeah, what fish eats grain? Fish eat fish. So, yeah, or seaweed, yeah? So, yeah, big tip there. I'm not sure. Willie, let me know. What's the fish like over there? You're over in the States, I think. Yeah, from memory. So, yeah, let me know what the fish is like. Do you get it from, is it Alaskan? Do you get it from Alaskan waters? I'd love to know. All right, so that's our coordination. So that's coordinating. Now, the fourth step, the fourth step is to heighten your intuitive guidance. I cannot place enough emphasis on this. If you're in a stressed state, we need to calm down, rest and digest. Yeah. Big tip, never eat food in a highly stressed state. Also, we don't want to be eating while we're working because you're not focusing on the food. Food is just a beautiful pleasure. It should be enjoyed, celebrated. So we want to make sure we're chewing slowly. We don't want to be wolfing down the food, okay? Because that causes digestive issues. It can lead to intestinal permeability down the track. Being in a stressed state will open up those crypts that I was talking about earlier. So it's about harmonizing your mind with your body and heightening your intuitive guidance so that you really know. So really tapping in to what is the right food for you to nourish you and to support you. Because we can have a look, we can do all these elaborate testing. If you've got some quite significant gut issues, of course, we can do some laboratory tests and see what's going on for you. But then what's the point of that if we're not then going to couple that with our own intuitive guidance, yeah? So that we're getting the very best out of food. Because it's pretty boring to just eliminate that altogether and then what's left, just eat that. We need to bring in some new, recreate blueprint for you, yeah? So that's number 4. Just reading here. So Willie gets fish from Alaska, shrimp from the Gulf. Okay, cool, awesome. Actually, I get wild caught Alaskan fish here. Obviously it's not fresh; it's frozen, but the color is really vibrant. It's that real flamingo pink. So another really good quality salmon, if you're in the southern hemisphere, is regal salmon from New Zealand. It is actually farmed, but they care for their fish farms very, very well. And that flesh, the color of the pink, is really that bright, that beautiful flamingo color. So that's what you want to look for. Yeah, if you're buying fresh, you want to choose fish that has really shiny eyes and nice scales, you know, and you know, if there's any slime, just don't touch it. All right, awesome. Okay, so number 5, we need to practice and we need to implement. Yeah, so I promised you 5 steps. Did I say they were easy? They're not easy, because the thing is if you've done X, Y, and Z for a lifetime, well, it's going to take a lot of practice for you to implement your new dietary regime, right? And to harness some new skills, maybe some new skills in the kitchens. This is what I like to teach my clients, to really become resourceful so that they are well prepared coming up, like if they've got a busy schedule coming up, or if they've got extra workload or whatever. It's about preparing, but it's practicing and implementing it and seeing what works and really fine-tuning it. So one of my clients at the moment, she's really getting into the pre-prepared, because she doesn't want to get caught out being ultra busy with work and not having the right food for herself. Yeah, because that's when things start to go a little bit haywire. Before you know it, the fatigue is creeping back in. Potentially the weight could be coming back on as well, or your moods may be a bit erratic. It does not help your hormones at all. We want to have nice, harmonious hormones, right? All right, so let's just do a quick summary. The 5 steps for crafting your blueprint are: number 1, to isolate, investigate, to pinpoint what foods aren't serving you. They need to go for now. They may need to go forever, depending on what your condition or diagnosis or health challenge is. Yeah. Number 2 is to eliminate that out and replace, swap it out. So we need to swap it out. So, for example, if we can't have gluten, which is a huge one for Hashimoto's, go into the biochemistry of that in an upcoming masterclass. Yeah. So, well, it's still a few weeks away, but I'm definitely going to be doing a masterclass on that because I think it's crucially important. If you're here live or in the replay, let me know if you'd like to know why gluten is not ideal for those suffering from Hashimoto's or any autoimmune disease for that matter. So I'll be talking about that in detail then. Okay, so swapping out. So number 2 is eliminating, replacing, swapping out. Number 3 is coordinating your meal with your lifestyle, what you're doing. Are you sustaining yourself for what you're doing from an energy perspective? Calming your body for sleep, your timing of your meals. Yeah, it just needs to be coordinated beautifully in with your life. Yeah, it's one aspect. Number 4 is to heighten your intuitive guidance for meal creation, for food preparation. Yeah, follow your nose when you're cooking. Yeah, the nose and taste are intricately linked. So if it smells good, it's going to taste good. We want to love our food too. And number 5 is to practice, implement, practice, implement, practice, implement. If the wheels fall off, don't worry. Practice, implement. Yeah. So they're the 5 steps to crafting a blueprint. So if you're here or if you're on the replay and you would like to have a chat about this for you, just reach out. This is your next step. Your next step is I will gift you a 10-minute call and we can work out what's going on for you. Just have an initial chat, and then if you're needing further support and guidance, we can talk about that too. Yeah, but you might just need a few tweaks and changes. You might want to just talk about what's going on for you. Yeah, so anything like that, just please write next step, and we can have a chat on Messenger, see what's going on. We can jump on a Zoom or we can jump on the phone, just for short, quick, just to really pinpoint a few key elements. And if I can help you further, we can discuss that too. So just write next step, and I look forward to connecting with you. I really hope you've gotten value out of this. If you have gotten value out of this, please give me a heart or a thumbs up. And I've thoroughly enjoyed this live, and it's my passion and my purpose to help you craft your blueprint for your diet and for all aspects of your life. So I wish you a wonderful day, and I look forward to seeing you next week for episode 3. Have a wonderful week, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Bye for now.